Our first guests tonight are two talented and award-winning actors who star in the Banshees of Inisherin, which will be in theaters October 21st. Please welcome back to the show two of my all-time favorites here together, Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell, everybody. Well, this is just lovely to have you both here.
It's fantastic to be back, Seth.
Hello, everyone.
And you're both back on the show. And Brendan, just on Saturday, you're back in the building. You hosted SNL right down the hall. Wonderful job.
Oh, thank you. This is weird. I'm looking. I'm coming in. And I say, wait a minute. Has it not happened? And we meet Donna outside, and it's like, yeah, okay, let's get back into this.
Yeah, exactly. Now, were you hesitant at all to take on the hosting duties at SNL?
Only to the degree of saying no.
Was Colin, were
Many
you helpful?
times, by the
Were you
way.
helpful to
Many
convince him?
times he said no. I was, didn't I? I sold it as hard as I could.
Instrumental in my say, yeah. So
I said it was one of the best weeks you'll ever have that you'll learn to regret eventually. No, but it was 16, 18, whatever.
It's a long time ago that you did it,
and
yeah.
we were there together.
Yeah,
and
I
it
can
was
tell
really,
it's a long time ago because you look terrible.
I looked terrible. Yeah, exactly.
You've aged so badly.
I know.
That's all we talk about,
That's
Colin.
not. I comb the hairline down on the regular, man. On the regular. Give myself that extra half an inch, you know yourself. But listen, I know it was one of the best weeks I had creatively. And the chaos of 30 Rock on the Saturday, which you lived in.
Yeah.
And it's so. We get so much time to prepare. It's different in theatre, but when you're doing television or film, you've so much time to prepare. You can't really fail too badly. You just go back to the camera, you cut it or whatever. This is all very different. And Saturday Night Live, the chaos, this kind of the strategic chaos. It's so beautiful. I knew he'd love it.
You got roped in a couple of times. Was it less stressful?
Totally.
Yeah. It's
I was
wonderful to be
sitting back
there.
in the room eating the cookies and watching this fella be dragged by the, to his next costume or dodgy wig. It was fantastic. It was fantastic.
It's like nothing else, but it did bring me back to the 80s. We used to do a lot of running around with kind of, very large hoops and skirts and bad wigs and with a whole bunch of people with the Passion Machine Theatre Company. We used to, the audience participation was the same, the sense of excitement. But was running around the back of the sets because it's so theatrical to set up.
Yeah.
And I said, I got this.
You certainly
skating back then? Were you a skateboarder back then as well?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
That's something that came later in life.
Yeah, I had a stunt double even then.
even as a young man. You mentioned Donna. She's the dresser at SNL. She works here. Wally, our cue card guy, also was sort of your touchstone during the week. And he mentioned you did a scene where, the blood oath scene, where you were sort of spraying blood. And Wally wanted to let us know he caught it as well. He actually, this is the actual cue card covered in blood.
Hey, Wally. Oh, that was funny. He said, yeah, don't...
Oh, very good, Wally.
Yeah, am I getting you?
Yeah, you seem to be enjoying getting everybody.
Didn't he? I saw you.
So this is talking about, I guess, so In Bruges happened after you hosted SNL, but an equally long time ago, 14 years ago, you make this film. Yeah. Martin McDonagh, who wrote and directed this, comes back to you guys. Was there an expectation you were going to get the gang back together at any point over the last decade plus?
We got on so well, I always hoped. I've worked with Martin twice before. My son had done a play of his. So I knew his work. I'd seen the best day of theatre I ever spent was 3 Martin McDonagh plays in a row. Druid Theatre Company did it.
But you were dreading initially, weren't you?
I dreaded it.
Who wouldn't?
No, jeez. Oh.
So it seems like this is thematic, that you just live in fear until you decide to do something.
No, I did. I did, and then it was one of the best. I was absolutely elated. It kind of reawakened everything that's brilliant about theatre. But working with Martin is extraordinary. And then we kind of hit it off in Bruges. Carl came in. We just kind of hooked up. It was kind of immediate. There was no need for words, really.
Hooked up, just to be clear.
Oh, yeah.
Being in America, I feel like a translation is in order.
Don't explain, never explain, never apologise.
Leave them wanting more.
No, it was fantastic. So I knew it was something that Martin was thinking of getting the gang together at some point, but like 14 years. 7 years ago, I think, the first iteration, and then another couple. So about 3 years ago, it all started to be real. And it was really exciting. And then COVID came in and, is it going to happen? and then it happened. So it was fantastic. It was a dream. A dream.
Did you find that you fell back into it right away?
Straight away, nothing. I mean, I was a little bit nervous because our characters in this film, The Banshees of Inisherin, are loggerheads, you know. Loggerheads.
Loggerheads.
Where's Freud when you need him to stay quiet?
Yeah,
where is he when you need him to stay quiet?
We're not hooked up, and all of a sudden you come out with
characters are at bourbon heads, and you know, In Bruges was about our two characters falling in love with each other.
Yeah.
You know, with all this madness and chaos going around, and a friendship that was being built against even our awareness. And this is about both of us being keenly aware that it's the dissolution of a friendship. Sure, I'm only happy for the first 30 seconds of the film.
Yeah.
And then he tells me, and I'm really happy, by the way, in that 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, it had to last the rest of 90 minutes. But and then he tells me he doesn't want to be friends with me anymore. So it was this dismantling of stuff. So I wasn't sure. Me and him had a chat the first day of rehearsal. Look, are we going to have to not be fully in character or not talk, but do we want to kind
Keep a distance.
And thank God, neither of us felt we needed it.
Yeah, you didn't want to go that.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? No, and you don't need that. We didn't need it in this. It's sometimes better, you know, you come from a place of love and then you can take it down consciously, take it apart consciously and still look after each other. Because some of the stuff was very dark in this as well. Do you know, the same with Bruges. Some of it, it's hilarious when you read it first, and it's funny when people watch it, apparently. But there's a middle section of doing it that can get a bit tricky sometimes. You know?
Yeah.
Now, you guys might have heard that I'm a fan of In Bruges.
I've heard that. All right.
We've talked about that a fair amount on the show. And I don't know, I feel like I didn't really fully admit this to you, Colin, because I mentioned once that I had told my wife I wanted to go to Paris, and then I tricked her into going to In Bruges.
Yeah.
Good trick.
Yeah.
But I don't think you know the extent that we went. We tried to recreate frames of the film. So, like, there's you in the movie, and there's me. And so there, Brendan, don't think you, there you are.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, there you are, there I am. And,
Your poor wife.
Yeah. Well, you have no idea. There's
Was she director? Or?
There's Ray Fiennes, and there I am walking across the same bridge. You think, poor wife. You want to know how bad it is for my wife? We didn't have a dog with us.
Oh, no.
This gorgeous woman. That gorgeous woman.
Beautiful.
But again, so I was very excited because, you know, obviously, you know, my expectation and having loved the film, I intend to, as gorgeous a place as you could shoot this.
Are you going to go? Did you ever?
I mean, I would love to go to, where was actually Inisherin?
Well, that's the thing, go where. So Inisherin doesn't actually exist. It's not a place. It's
So just get there and keep going.
Isle. Yeah, exactly. Anywhere in the West Coast, really. We shot in 2 islands. One was one of the 3 islands that constitute the Aran Islands, and the island that we shot on was Inishmore, the biggest of the islands, the biggest of the 3, and was just extraordinary and has a population of 750 people. Yeah. And any given day during the summer, 2,000 tourists come and go. So it's a buzz during the day, and then at night it becomes a more sincere version of itself in a way. It's a magic place that doesn't feel like it's changed too much in forever, you know?
And we were kind of embraced on it in a way that was just total. So, you know, like there's quite a toxic environment kind of develop on the island in the movie.
Right.
Not at all what happened on Inishmore. It was fine. They took us in and we'd kind of pass each other on the road in the way it was happening in the film. It was such crossover.
How are you, Brendan?
So between that and Achill Island, which was the other place, we had locations. They're magnificent places, and we got extraordinary weather. It was like as if they wanted us to make this movie over there.
And you, there are a great many animals in the film. Are they local hires, or did you bring them over with you?
They were definitely local hires.
Yeah.
They were first timers, but they were just extraordinary.
Yeah.
I mean, that looks like CGI to me, but they were there. I remember. Extraordinary.
And did you find? I mean, I feel like you do the brunt of the animal acting in the film, Colin, and I felt like you did a great job. I felt like you really had a connection with those animals.
The animals had a connection with me, didn't they? One connected its hoof to my kneecap. The other one connected its teeth to my thumb. There's three animals outside the human animals. 3 animals like livestock or domesticated animals that we worked with. There was Morse, who was this gorgeous sheepdog. Gorgeous.
Beautiful dog.
Smart, wise, terrible judge of character. Bit me.
Did not like to dance.
Okay.
Did not like to dance.
You do have a dancing scene with the sheepdog,
I do.
Yeah?
It was emotional.
Jenny the donkey. And she gave me a good old clatter on the knee. and then Minnie, who didn't have a big part, but then kind of worked her way up the affections of the writer-director Martin, and he ended up giving her a lot more than she originally had.
Yeah, because originally...
To the betterment of the film,
Okay.
but to the detriment of my safety, because she, at one stage, you were right by... Do you remember the scene, Barry, with the kettle?
I do.
Saying on the way to the church.
Yeah.
Do you remember the drop-off there at the cliff?
I do.
That's where she started to back up towards the cliff to go down. And the bit that we were doing as well that day, she was a bit...
She was a little bit, yeah, she was a bit diva-ish.
Colin, I have to say, are you worried at all about the fact that, 3 different animal species seem to choose to attack you over Brendan?
Yeah, it was concerning.
Well, Colin...
I still have no answer for it, so... Yeah.
I think, you know the way you always hurt the one you love?
Yeah. Oh,
I
that's
like
very
that. I like
kind of you
that.
to say. That's
I
what
like
a nice
that.
framing of it. I have a lot more to ask you guys. We'll be right back with more from Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell.